Shaq Fu, the name says it all, but in this video game court, it's innocent until proven guilty. Court is now in session for a butt-kicking episode of Innocent Until Proven Guilty. Today's episode is another IUPG first, the trial of a fighting game. And not just any fighting game, this is considered to be the worst entry in the genre, and it has a website devoted to destroying every copy of it. Yes, I'm talking about the notorious Shaq Fu. Shaq Fu was released for various consoles and handhelds in 1994 and 1995, but since I only own the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions, this video is just gonna focus on those. Shaq Fu is of course a combination of Shaquille O'Neal and Kung Fu, making this a vanity project in the vein of Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City. Shaq Fu was published by Electronic Arts and developed by Delphine Software International, the company behind the critically acclaimed flashback The Quest for Identity. The story of Shaq Fu is ridiculous and cheesy, so it's perfect for a title of this caliber. O'Neal discovers a martial arts dojo during his trip to Tokyo for a charity match. The old man inside mistakes the magic center to be a magical warrior and tells him that he has to travel to the second world to save the boy Nezu from the evil Set Ra. The athlete leaps through the portal and begins the aforementioned rescue mission. Over the course of his journey, Shaq will encounter a variety of eccentric characters, including the ghoulish Memphis, the menacing Beast, and the cat lady Kaori. Upon entering a new location, a brief cutscene will pop up where the opponents trade smack talk before engaging in a fierce 2 out of 3 round battle. The combatants square off in gorgeous environments, from the jungle and temple to the Genesis exclusive lab and mines. The sprites are small but incredibly detailed, and their current status is indicated by changing face icons, which are hilarious and a nice touch. The soundtrack is equally exceptional, with eclectic themes that set the mood for each stage, so Shaq Fu's presentation is of a surprisingly high quality. As for the actual gameplay, that is a whole other story. The typical Street Fighter II style controls with fast and power punches and kicks and quarter circle forward and back special moves give the impression of being a competitor worthy of the big boys, but the reality is that this isn't even fit enough to be in the same league. Unlike Mortal Kombat and the previously addressed Capcom franchise, Shaq Fu has a loose and floaty feel that saps the fun out of it. The controls may be relatively simple, but I had a hard time with performing the special moves on a consistent basis, and this was further hindered by a noticeable lag. I wanted to be able to strategize my techniques and pull off wicked Killer Instinct-esque combos, but I ultimately decided to mash the strong attack so I could make sure that Nezu was returned to his grandfather safely. It took a lot of patience and a drop in difficulty, but I completed the story mode on both of the 16-bit consoles. In doing so, I made some really interesting observations. For example, the roster on the Super Nintendo is fairly meager and consists of the title star, Kaori, Beast, Set, Memphis, Voodoo, and Raja. The Genesis, on the other hand, nearly doubles the total cast with the addition of Diesel, Auroch, Colonel, Leotsu, and Nezu. Yes, the little defenseless boy is playable on the Sega system, and the plot takes a turn by having him be hypnotized by Set in order to battle our hero. The inclusion of Nezu and the 4 supplementary characters are a welcome bonus, and I appreciate how they weave them into the plot, but it also slightly muddles the narrative. Leotsu is the old man in the dojo, so why would he be guarding the North Gate in the second world? It doesn't make a lick of sense, but neither does a real-life basketball player going on a kung fu quest in a mystical land, so I'll let it slide. Minus the extra warriors and levels, the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions are virtually identical from a content standpoint. They share the same 3 options: story, tournament, and duel. The duel mode allows the supporting cast to climb the ranks to receive their own one-screen endings, which are honestly rather weak, and become the new top dog. A Mortal Kombat-esque blood code can be inputted at the menu screen, which enables small amounts of red fluid to spray the air, and PG-rated fatalities that are laughably tame. In regards to the presentation, the visuals are sharper with vibrant colors on the Super Nintendo, but the audio department is severely lacking. The raw and tinny Sega sound chip accentuates the darker tone, while the MIDI Super Nintendo tunes resemble elevator music. Don't believe me? Have a closer listen and see for yourself. With its lengthier adventure and magnificent music, Shaq Fu is clearly a case where the classic ad slogan is true. No matter which 16-bit iteration you choose, the devious Set-Ra awaits at the conclusion. Set-Ra can be a pain in the ass even on easy, but I finally defeated him with my strategy of mashing buttons like a madman. With his mission accomplished, the protagonist returns to our world with the boy and gets ready for the charity event. As he apologizes to his teammates for his absence, a familiar face appears. Yes, Beast kept true to his word about seeking a rematch. I wonder if this will be part of the upcoming sequel, A Legend Reborn. I guess only time will tell. After having experienced it in its entirety on 2 separate systems, I can now fully understand why Shaq Fu has such a negative reputation. The mechanics are flawed and the celebrity gimmick is shallow, but does that mean it deserves a cartridge destruction death penalty? Let's find out in the breakdown! Shaq Fu is proof that famous athletes should stay away from all non-sports related video games. Delphine had a proven track record of excellence within the medium, so I have no idea what the hell happened here. The controls are obviously based on the successful formula established by Street Fighter II, but the feel is all sorts of wrong. The characters are pretty cool and the presentation is very nice, but at its core, Shaq Fu is a colossal failure and justice needs to be enforced upon this awful fighter. As far as fighters go, Shaq Fu belongs near the bottom of the barrel, but there are some redeeming qualities to it. As you mentioned yourself, Mr. Guilty, the overall aesthetic is outstanding. This is easily one of the best looking titles in the genre from that era, and the rockin' soundtrack has been stuck in my head for days. I get a big kick out of the smack talk sections and the cheesy but hilarious dialogue that's spouted in them. Shaq Fu is undeniably a subpar entry in the genre, but it has a heart of gold and a sense of humor that sets it apart from the competition. In the case of Shaq Fu, I rule that the verdict is guilty. This one was tough to judge. I almost went innocent because I consider this to be a bit of a guilty pleasure, but my gut told me to bring the full hammer of the law down upon it. Shaq Fu is definitely one of the worst fighting games ever made, but I'm glad that it is. The concept is stupid and nothing more than a novelty to boost O'Neill's ego, but that is exactly why it's so charming. I would absolutely recommend picking up a copy just for the sake of owning an infamous piece of gaming history. Anyway, now that I've convicted this dreadful offender, I've got another Cygnus Destroyer video to work on. Be sure to come back for that, but until then, court is now adjourned. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, click any of the boxes on the screen right now and you'll be able to watch a few more of my videos. And if you haven't already, be sure to click that red box right there in the corner and that'll subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to keep up to date with all of my current content. Thanks again, everyone.